Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, apparently I made my mom cry every Mother's Day throughout my childhood. Entitled aunt makes my grandpa sell his house. My birthday present to myself is not having to say I love you to my dad. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Apparently, I made my mom cry every Mother's Day throughout my childhood. Throughout my childhood, from when I started school to about age 18, I would ask my mom what she wanted for Mother's Day, and every year she would say very clearly nothing. You don't need to get me anything at all. And so I didn't, because I was a child and she was my mom and I believed what she said. In my teens, I just assumed it wasn't something she felt was important. I'm an only child, and my lovely dad who lived with us wasn't one for social conventions and didn't intervene. I'm not sure why, but aged 18 I started buying her a Mother's Day card and present, which always went down well with her. After I had my own son, my mom decided to tell me that every Mother's Day that she didn't receive a present she would hide away and cry because I hadn't bought her anything, and that everyone else had a lovely present and card except her. What's going on here? I'm 48 now and still feel weird about both her not telling child-aged me that she'd like some flowers or whatever, and also that she told adult-aged me about how I'd made her cry each year. If she brings it up again, tell her you are so glad that she is learning to communicate her wants and needs better. Yes. Subtly acknowledge and encourage the healthy behavior. OP just needs to remind her he was a child. When he got older, he learned to ignore her answer and get her something regardless. Sounds like he managed to grow into an empathic adult regardless of her animosity against a child. Without that behavior being modeled for him. She should be blaming the father. Sounds like your mother is a bit on the passive-aggressive side. Seriously, what adult holds a kid responsible for taking them seriously? You asked, your mother said nothing, and you're a kid, you took her literally. If she ever brings it up again, gently shut her down. Because you were a kid. Your mother should have gently pointed you towards something. A card would be nice. I'm guessing that she helped you pick out a gift for Father's Day? My parents are just as passive-aggressive with me regarding phone calls. They say I don't call them enough, but never call me in return. You were a child, don't blame yourself. You clearly couldn't drive to get it, it should have been your dad's job. Also, your mom should have communicated to you that she would like a card. How is a child supposed to read minds? Mom should have been upset with dad here. He would be the one to actually facilitate the gift getting. I can't stand parents who put any sort of blame on actual children. While I think even as a kid you could be aware that you could get a card. Maybe not when you're like 8 or 9, but surely as a teenager you've gained that awareness. On the other hand, she should have said something, and bringing it up now is just making up feel guilty. Ah boy, sad face, my nan is a worse version of this. For example, she'd babysit my cousin. If my aunt bought her flowers as a thanks, she'd be told that she didn't have to do that, she wasn't expecting anything. So one time, my aunt didn't buy flowers. Cue the tears about being unappreciated, taken for granted, etc. I bet your mother wanted you to do a little something for her, kind of like you wanting to show love despite her insistence of wanting nothing. She failed to factor in how literal kids can be. And I bet she would have said, "Oh, you shouldn't have," if you had actually done something. I think this is more on your dad. He is supposed to take you shopping and make sure kid you knows the social convention. Hide away and cry implies that he probably didn't know either. Since he himself didn't care for social conventions and his partner told their kid outright, it's not unreasonable to just accept that. I know that I'll dodge tradition at every turn if I think that the people I know won't mind. I've seen this several times. My guess is that part of her fantasy was that you'd get her a nice gift in spite of her denying she wanted one. That would prove to her the gift was genuine and not given out of obligation. Don't feel guilty. She played herself. I was about to say that, too. My own grandma was like that, except in her case it was from her upbringing and growing up during the war learning to never ask for anything, so that was kinda understandable. Call her out on it. Ask her why she told you she didn't want anything and why didn't your father step up? She is being manipulative. I feel like she wants to get the Mother's Day gifts from grandchild instead of OP. She's guilt-tripping you. Does she really expect that a child proceed to think like an adult and read between the lines when she said nothing? That's really passive-aggressive, and right now she's manipulative as she wants you feel bad. Ick, I feel if she wanted to guilt-trip him she wouldn't be just now bringing it when he's 48. She would have brought it up a long time ago and constantly. How strange. This is something she should have taken up with your dad, not you. It was his job to teach you this. It was her job to express her unhappiness to him, back then, not you, now. It's very strange. Entitled Aunt makes my grandpa sell his house. I don't know how to exactly write this, as this has been going on for as long as I can remember. I thought about making this post for quite a while, but never knew if it was my place to say. I decided to create this account so that my cousin C doesn't see this, since she knows about my normal Reddit account. And sorry if there are any grammatical errors, as English is not my first language. Some stuff to know the background. I will be talking about me, my aunt, referred to as it in the story, the EP of the story, my cousin, C, my mom, M, and my grandpa, G. And buckle up, because this will be a roller coaster of a ride. The house in question consists of 2 small flats and a garden. The whole house is my grandpa's, nobody else's. My aunt was living at my grandpa's house with her daughter C. They were paying a rent, of sorts. They were paying like a $100 per month, and for my grandpa, that was just not enough, since he was already in retirement and practically living off of him. I would always tell grandpa that he was being unreasonable for wanting more money, and the fact that he was not alone in the house should be enough of a reason to not ask for anything more, her actual words. Later on she started complaining that she cannot change anything around the house since it is not hers, and practically tried to nudge grandpa into rewriting the house to her. She tried that several times, but never succeeded, and eventually would stop asking and would just make changes around the house as she saw fit. Grandpa told her several times that he did not wish for his house to be reconstructed, but he did tell her that she can make changes that could be removable without any damage to the house. Later on, like 3 years later, I remarried, had a baby, and stopped talking to G, even though she still lived with her husband in the flat owned by G. She started calling my mom M a lot though, like 3x per day, for weeks. I was never the one to beg, but from the first call, we all knew what she wanted. The house, that wasn't ours. It usually went something like this. I don't remember the exact details, as it was in fact 3 years ago. Hey Em, I know we don't talk that much, but as you might know, I had a child recently and I wanted to ask you if you would be such a sweetheart and give up your part of the house to me, so me and my family could finally live somewhere for real. Em, are you talking about the house that is not mine? Oh, we've talked about this. I cannot sell you what is not mine, and if Dad doesn't want to sell it to you, then I have no idea why you are talking to me. Hey, well, you didn't have to be such a B-word about it. I've never done anything bad to you. And then she would proceed to cuss my mom out for basically not selling her G's house. And after that she would stop talking to everyone and do her own stuff. And after that she bought her own house. Problem solved, right? Wrong, super wrong. Remember C? I didn't want her to move in with her and her new family, but since C was 16 at the time, she had the brilliant idea that she would just stay at G's place. When G said that he wishes to give the flat to my mom, I was already in college, so she was basically living alone, for rent, and wants C to live with her bloody MUM. She basically blew a fuse, cussed him out, and said that she has been living in that house for the past 15 years and that it was basically hers and that he just can't do this to her. So G agreed that C can live there until she moves to college. Fair enough, college would be in like 2 years, so my mom didn't make a big deal out of it, and yes, G was the one who asked my mom if she would like to move there, since A is moving. And now we are in the present. C got into college and found a flat already, nice. So M packed her bags and got ready to move to G's place, until I told her that she does not wish to do that and that she will have to pay her for the flat and the changes that G said she can't do, because even though the flat is not hers, she still paid a lot of money to renovate it and she should be compensated. My mom refused, and pointed out again that the flat is not hers and she will not pay her a cent for it. But G, since he wanted to have contact with his grandchild that was living with it, the small baby that is now 3, and yes, she cut contact before, just because G said no to her or she didn't agree with something he refused to do for her for free, said that M has to wait a little bit longer. But I didn't like that, because it would mean that the house would truly never be hers, so she threw a fit, saying it is just not fair and that nobody should be in the house if it's not hers. Today G said to us that it cut him off from herself and therefore her kid as well, and so he said he will sell the house in October if it will not resolve the conflict between herself and M. I am sad for my grandpa, as well as sad for my mom, who will probably never get to live in her childhood house thanks to my entitled aunt. I don't know what can we even do in this situation. Does anyone have any suggestions? You need to have a heart-to-heart with your grandpa so he can open his eyes and see that A is manipulating G into doing whatever he wants just so he can see his grandson. That A will never truly be happy and only thinks about herself and no one else. That cutting ties with A will actually be best for him, as much as he may hate it at first. Will try my best, however I think he is just so tired with this going on that I don't think it will change anything. But thanks. You and your mom need to take this more seriously and sit down with your grandpa to let him know how things will go if he doesn't take divisive action. He might think he's doing that by selling the house and that'll fix all this, but it won't. Your aunt is horrible and he needs to cut her out of his will because if you add up rent she wasn't paying for 15 years, she's already received her share of inheritance. The best thing he could possibly do to teach her what her kind of behavior results in is to let your mom move and then leave the house to her. Or let your mom buy the house at a below market cost. Trust me, when he dies your aunt will exhaust every legal option to bleed whatever she can out of his estate, including whatever he gets from the sale of the house. He needs a living trust, instead of a will. They can't be contested. Talk to your grandpa and tell him that selling the house to make her happy is only the beginning. She will continue to manipulate him to get what she wants over and over. He needs to cut ties with her once and for all. My birthday present to myself is not having to say I love you to my dad. My dad is a big gift giver or thinks love can be bought with money. He has ruined job opportunities and being able to go to college and tons of relationships my whole life. At every turn there's something he did to mess up my life when it was going well. Through high school at certain moments it was my dad that always did things at the wrong moment that ruined the vibe between me and girls. I almost got a job at a bank one time, but he said I had to go on a cruise and it made them not hire me. I quit my job before I got a huge bonus one time and a couple months off cause he promised me a local job. He was lying about the hours and pay. He hired a maid one time that stole my passport and it ruined my ability to see my LDR in England and she got a new boyfriend. He always keeps saying I love you and wanting me to say it back after he sends me way less than my siblings or even my step-siblings when I don't love him. Everyone else got to go to college but me. This year I really just couldn't say it back. He just went on a 2-week Europe cruise with his new family and for my birthday I got $350 bucks and asks if I got it and that he loves me. I just don't have it in me to say it back anymore. He shows with his actions he doesn't care about me. Edit, I could actually fill up several pages where he made my life worse than simply not being involved at all, but I just don't even have the energy to remember them all. He screws your life up on purpose. You aren't required to say any phrase to any person that you don't want to. Period. Just ignore him. That's the one thing a narcissistic person like him haters when you ignore him, and if you don't accept anything from him, that'll drive him nuts. But also be careful that he goes on a rampage, and if he tries to pull the you better say I love you, because I do this scenario, just say no, you're buying me off when you know that you screw up my wife. But I also see this, you don't have to be near him, and if you're an adult you can always block his number or say I don't know you, leave me alone. Move away, far away. You don't need to tell him where you are or what you are doing. If you are in college, you are an adult and can do what you want. Just pack your shit, put in your car overnight, and then one day, grab your keys and wallet and walk out the door. Before they know what happened, you would be already gone. Make sure you notify the local police department that if there is a missing persons report about you, that it's not the case and to not pursue it. They won't tell him anything except that you are not lost or missing. Good luck, OP. Sounds like a step to regain you and stop lying that he cares. College is always an option. Don't put not going on him, take that power away from him. Move forward, live your best life and leave him behind. Don't worry about what he is doing for others, as he has demonstrated he won't do it for you, so let it go and rely on yourself. That is the best gift you can give yourself on your birthday. Happy birthday! I actively avoid saying I love you to my stepdad whenever possible. I hate him. Your dad is truly awful, like serial killer awful, but without all the killing. Happy or harder burn SMD maximize with even a boldest store loved fry even the it's 1s. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.